Dr. Neha, I think we can start. We are live on YouTube as well. Over to you.
Yes. Okay. A very warm welcome to everyone and good afternoon to each one of you. We are here to connect on iSampark with the topic A Healing Touch of Homeopathy in Female Ailments by Dr. Shweta Singh. She's a renowned doctor. She's MD Home and a PhD scholar. She's so intellectual. She's working in CCRH as a senior research fellow. We know that in homeopathy we have come across lots of female disorders and some ailments which need to be taken care of in a very different, unique way nowadays. And Dr. Shweta Singh will throw the light on the topic. So I just welcome Dr. Shweta Singh here. Welcome, ma'am, Dr. Shweta Singh. Yes, over to you, ma'am. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Dr. Neha. Thank you so much for inviting me today at your platform. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Please continue.
Okay. Thanks to Bhargava Phytolab for inviting me today to share my views on female ailments with homeopathy, and especially thanks to Dr. Neha Singh who approached me for this webinar. Shall I share my screen? Is it visible to all?
It is visible,
Yes.
Dr. Shweta. You can continue.
Okay, thank you. So females are the strong pillars of our society, and for an emergence of a strong, healthy society, we require healthy females. There are a lot of milestones in a female life from childhood to menopause, which affect the life and may cause disturbances in the hormonal levels and the mental health of the female, which affect and produce numerous kind of diseases, which are the concerns. So today we will touch those sphere and those cases of our females with homeopathy. So the topic is a healing touch of homeopathy in female ailments. Now, homeopathic case taking, individualization, cure, we have heard a lot of times. And so the homeopathic case taking or the approach is different with modern medicine, as we do not treat diseases, we treat individuals who are diseased. Am I right? So homeopathic case taking is a process of knowing our patient and the sickness in every respect, so that the patient can be treated in a rational way. Why we do this case taking and ask so many questions to our patient that seems to be interesting, unique, and strange sometimes to our patient? The answer is to individualize. So what is individualization? We try to differentiate every single case, every single patient who is suffering from same diseases with some exclusive features, as two individuals can't be same. The cause can be same, but the effect can be different. Vital force is one, but its manifestations are in many different ways, which we call spectrum of symptoms. So in aphorism 82, our master Henneman said this: no real cure can take place without a strict particular treatment of each case of disease. That is individualization. And the definition of cure is definitely different from the modern medicine. In homeopathy, cure is different. It is not just disappearance of the specific symptoms of disease, but it is the changes made by the homeopathic simillimum directly goes to the core of the individual, of the patient, to body's own healing energy, strengthening it, balancing it. In this way, in this process, so that not only the specific symptoms will disappear, but the entire individual, entire spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical being is being restored to the natural state. Now, in aphorism 153, in search for a homeopathic specific remedy, what should we do? First of all, we all know that there is no specifics in homeopathy. Then what is this homeopathic specific remedy? That is the remedy which belongs to the individual who is suffering. We need to carry out an in-depth study and individualize our patient with the help of perceptible signs and symptoms. And we have to find out the more striking, singular, uncommon, peculiar, characteristic signs and symptoms of the case, which are chiefly and most solely to be kept in view to find out the simillimum. Every curable case has these signs and symptoms, but they are hidden in the details of the case. And we homeopaths must possess these skills to dig them up. We have to act like an investigator, like a CBI officer, and find out these characteristic symptoms of a case so that we can individualize two patients who are suffering from a same disease and find out the specific remedy for both of them. And these symptoms are hidden where? In the physical generals, in the mental generals, in the particular symptoms. That's why case taking is done, and it requires skills and art of a physician. It is not a mechanical process. So the more general and undefined symptoms demand but least attention. That vague and indefinite character as present in almost every disease and drug. So common symptoms can be found in every drug and in every disease. But to find out the specific remedy, we have to refer those striking, uncommon, peculiar, characteristic symptom of the case, of the patient. Now, the female case taking, which was defined by Dr. Hahnemann in aphorism 1994 footnote, and it said that in chronic diseases of females, it is spatially necessary to pay attention to the pregnancies, sexual desire, accouchements, miscarriages, suckling, lactation period, and the state of menstrual flow. Now, menstrual flow with respect to the last name particularly, we should not neglect to ascertain too short intervals or is delayed beyond the proper time, how many days it lasts, whether its flow is continuous or interrupted, what is its general quality, how dark is its color, whether there is some accompanied associated symptoms like leukorrhea before the appearance of menses or after the menses, but especially by what bodily or mental ailments, what sensation and pains it is preceded, accompanied, or followed. So we have to, along with the menstrual history, we have to ask the patient if she is suffering from any symptom, bodily symptom, physical symptoms or leukorrhea before, during, or after menstruation. If there is leukorrhea, we have to check what is its nature, what sensations attend its flow, in what quantity it is, and what are the conditions and occasions under which it occurs. So conditions and occasions means what are the ameliorating factors? What are the aggravating factors? Is there any concomitant which is associated with the changes in the menstrual cycle or the leukorrhea? So we have to check everything with our patient. Now the cases, I want to show some cases. This is my first case, a case of infertility. This is a case of secondary infertility. An obese, fair-skinned lady aged 28 years. She came to me for the treatment of her secondary infertility in 2020. The complaints were, she's the diagnosed case of PCOS, and she was complaining of irregular menses since 1 year. The associated complaints were gastric disturbances with frequent sour irritations. There was headache, which belongs to temples only. The location was temples, and aggravating factors were sunlight and mental exhaustion. There was pain in calves, and which is aggravating from rest and amelioration from motion. There was easy spraining of ankles when walking. In the physical generals, we got these symptoms like desire. She desires for spicy food. Aversion is from milk and milk products. Stool was fine, satisfactory, but there was dreams of snakes. Perspiration was more around head and neck. Tongue was coated white with bluish discoloration, and the thermals are chill. Now, I'm asking about the menstrual history. The last menstrual period was on 13th July 2020, and it is for 3 days only, and bright red in color with little clots. There were no associated complaints with it, and she has one girl before in 2014. In mental journals, she was very sad, nervous, irritable on slightest trifles, reserved in nature. There is suppressed anger, and she weeps when alone, likes to be alone, and consolation basically aggravates her. She had aversion to tight clothing. She is very pessimistic, and she is lazy, and there is aversion to exercise. In past history, there was a miscarriage in February 2020 in the 3rd month. And after DNC, this complaint of irregular menstruation started. Now on repertorization, because of late menses, erections were sore, there were headache, temples. These symptoms I took for repertorizing, and these are the remedies which come after repertorization, which includes natramur, sepia, pulsatilla, calcarea, and lycopodium, and silicea and sulfur. These are the top highest grade remedies which comes after repertorization. So I already told you the history of the patient. Can you please tell me what can be the remedy? What should be the simillimum? Anyone? Is there any answers in the chat, Dr. Neha?
Just checking. I didn't receive any. Everyone is requested to provide their answers. Okay, we got the first answer. That's by Dr. Archana Kabra. She said it is sepia.
All right. Any more?
We are waiting for more. Come on, guys. Let's have more answers.
Yes.
What's your take on this case? Okay, we have received another answer from Dr. Aishia. That is natramur.
All right. Any more answers?
Just waiting for others. People are guessing.
Wait.
Okay. Dr. Kanta Nirman said pulsatilla. Dr. Hetal Mehta gave the answer of Calcarea carb.
Okay.
Dr. Naman, Crotalus cascavella.
Okay. Shall we go ahead? Then we have so many answers. So now I prescribed natrum carb 200. Why? Because natrum mur is the personality that is the core of the patient. With the symptoms, you can see late menstruation, it is covering. Then the mental makeup of the patient. The patient is very much reserved, consolation aggravates, and the patient weeps when alone. What was it? There is suppressed anger. She wants to be alone, right? But in Calcarea, the patient is chilly. Natrum mur is hot patient. Our patient is chilly. One more specific, if you see the repertorization chart, there is soreness. There were sore eructations were there, which is covered by natrum mur also and Calcarea also. The soreness is a characteristic of Calcarea too, right? Then there is obesity. Natrum mur patients are usually lean, thin patients. Calcarea is obese. It covers the that part also. Then there is aversion to milk products, which is specific to natrum carb. So with these symptoms, I gave, and the indolence, the patient is lazy. Calcarea patients are also lazy. So instead of trying natrum mur, I tried natrum carb 200. Then on the next follow-up, on 26th November, her menses didn't occur, but the pain in the legs is better. The headache was better, and gastric issues were also relieved with the medicine, with that single dose. So I didn't change the remedy and followed up with the Saclac. On the next follow-up, on 6th December, menses not occur yet, but the patient was better in general. So what should I do at that time? I should change the remedy. I should reconsider the case, or should I, stick to the remedy? What should I do? And on December, she is completing with 6 months, and she had no menses since 6 months. So the first thing what I have to relieve is to get her menses, because it's already 6 months. So what should I do at that time? So I prescribed, because menses didn't turn up. So I prescribed natrum carb 1 m. I usually tried higher potency instead of changing the remedy. On 13th December, her menses came. The duration was 5 days. It was perfectly well. There were no associated complaints. And on 17th January, she again didn't get her menses on time. So after one week, she again checked with the pregnancy, and it came positive. So she came to me for her infertility, and she conceived after her menses, and this is the result. The homeopathy brings happiness. In this year, in I think March 2022, they visited me, and this is the beauty of homeopathy. Now the next case, a case of endometrial polyp. This patient, who is aged 27 years, came to me, unmarried female, in 2020 September, with a complaint of irregular vaginal bleeding. There was intermenstrual vaginal spotting since 5 to 6 days. And along with that, she also complaining of weakness and trembling in her legs. The patient was apparently well 5 2 days back, but again she started complaining of intermenstrual spotting whenever she urinates. When she came to me, she looked very depressed and sad. So even she is very silent. She didn't answer. So I asked her family about what happens to her, what's wrong with her, why she's so silent. She's like, then they told me that there were some family disputes which were going on for the last 15 20 days, and since then she became silent. She don't want to talk to anyone. She whenever they ask something, she's very rude. Anger is quite visible, but it is in front of me, or she wants to be alone. She don't want to talk. And otherwise she was a very sincere, happy girl, but emotional too. Now the menstrual history, the LMP was 29th August, and it is for 2 to 3 days. The bleeding was dark red in color with few clots. There were, in the past history, there were acne which she had undergone homeopathic treatment, and it was fine. There's nothing specific in the family history. Physical general, she was quite the appetite was quite decreased, and she don't want to eat anything. She was thirstless. She desires for salty things, and she's a hot patient by thermals. In mental generals, there is jealousy because of the family disputes. When I asked, there is some jealousy between her sister-in-law, and there is some dispute with her brother, with her mother, father, and especially to the sister-in-law. So there was a jealousy factor there, and the contradiction aggravates her. She became angry on slightest triggers, but does not express herself. The anger was suppressed. She weeps only when alone, and she's fastidious. Now I asked her for the ultrasound, and she came next day with the ultrasound, which says that the endometrial lining was mildly thickened and heterogeneous in echo pattern. The endometrial thickness is 13 mm, and there was endometrial polyp sized 11 into 7.8 mm. On examination, because she found to be very dull and sad, so I checked her BP, and she was hypotensive. The BP was 100 by 60 mmHg. So it can be because of that what is happening in her house. No? She's sad and hypotensive. Because of that, there must be some fear, anxiety, or some depressive state at that time. And the tongue was clean and moist. Now on repertorization, I repertorize all her symptoms, and the topmost remedy which came was natramure. So I stick to natramure, and I prescribe natramure 200 because it is basically covering that scenario and the symptoms of the patient. So I prescribed natramure 200 at that time. On 8th October, there was no menstrual bleeding. Patient feels better. Menses were profuse for 7 days, and there were pustular eruptions which reappear, but over genitals, which is an old symptom. She mentally feel better, so I prescribed Saclac 30 followed by SL. In December 2020, since the treatment started, she doesn't feel any there is no intermenstrual bleeding. And but in December, because of the winter season, she had cracked and chapped fingertips. Hyperacidity was there with eructations. Back pain was there with stiffness. These are the symptoms in December. So after 3 months of the treatment, there was no intermenstrual bleeding. So I advised her to get 1 USD done after 3 months. But On this day, the ultrasound says there was the endometrial polyp size was increased from 11, it became 13 into 9.4. Previously, it was 11 into 7. And now, after I gave Natrum 1M, I tried in between. And after 3 months, when we go for this, so the endometrial polyp size was increased 13 into 9 mm. So what should I do? Now, with Natrum, after 3 months, the endometrial polyp size has increased. What should be the next approach? So in January, there was no menstrual bleeding occurred. Backache was still same. There was an observation. She had hyperpigmentation over cheeks. She's 26 or 27, but has a hyperpigmentation, melasma, chloasma type pigmentation over cheeks. There was leukorrhea, which is white, thick, like egg white, and offensive. And on more inquiry, it was, observed that the patient was indifferent to her family, especially to her mother. Because of the dispute, she loves her mother so much. She always takes care of her health and everything. But because of her sister-in-law or because of the family dispute, she is indifferent to her. So at that time, I decided to give sepia 1M because sepia is a complementary to natrum. Sepia is a complementary remedy to natrum. So I decided to give sepia 1M, and on the next scan, the endometrial polyp is totally disappeared. You can see the scan. So with single dose of sepia 1M, we have treated that endometrial polyp, which was increased in size with natrum. One more thing, that in the second scan, I want to show that in the first scan, I have shared that there was endometrial polyp, but the endometrial lining was heterogeneous in echo pattern, which is not there in the second scan. So I know, however, the size of polyp has increased, but there is a change in the endometrial lining. So I decided to give with the mental symptom which I got, I decided to give sepia 1M, which is complementary to natrum, which can complete its action. And with that, this endometrial polyp totally disappeared. Now the third case of antenatal anxiety. This patient who is 4 months pregnant, 23 years old, came to me in Feb 21. And while she is entering my chamber, she was looking so dull and weak, like she will fall down. She was walking so slowly towards the chair, just finding the chair, where is the chair, so that I can sit. And before I could ask something, she leaned down on the table. So her mother told me that she is not in her sound state, mental state, and she had few vomitings, episodes of vomiting as soon as she eats or drink anything. Now the physical general, she don't want to eat anything. She had aversion to food. Whenever she takes anything to eat or drink, she vomit out. She had few episodes of vomiting. So thirst is also not much, but she's taking it at smaller intervals. In mental general, she had a lot of fear as something wrong will happen to her baby. She desires company. She want her mother to be her at her side. She was suspicious in nature for the last 3-4 months. Whenever she get irritated or angry, she tried to kill herself by throttling. So there were suicidal tendencies also. In physical generals, so this is the analysis of the case. Thirst was small quantity at frequent intervals. There was weakness a lot, and the patient was chilly. In mental generals, suspicious, fear of being injured. She wants to just save herself or her baby. She had that fear they might be injured, and it is she's mentally restless. Suicidal tendencies were also there, and in particular there were vomitings during pregnancy. So I chose arsenic at that time because that remedy is full of full of fears and anxiety. There was mental restlessness was there, with rapid disproportionate prostration is there. Thirst is very characteristic, like she doesn't want to have lot of water. She wants water in sips at frequent interval. Small quantity of water she wants. And there is suicidal tendency but lacks courage. That is also characteristic symptom in arsenic. So I chose arsenic and gave arsenic 200 in a water dose. Water doses, we ask the patient to dissolve the 4 or 8 pills of arsenic album 200 into 100 ml of water and take it frequently in sips. So arsenic 200 in water dose followed by SN. On the third day, the patient physically and emotionally was improved. There were no vomiting episodes after she took that arsenic dose, and weakness was also much better. Sleep is better, and there is no suicidal attempt. She looked relaxed than before. Now, after in March 21, after around 1 month, the patient came with her mother for few complaints which are still persisting, like she had difficulty in sleep. She wants to sleep, but she cannot. She can't stay alone, always wants someone besides. If not, she start crying. She had fear of darkness. She wants lights to be, lit. And she said, doctor, I want to recover. Please help me. I do regular part. I pray regularly for my baby. God will help me to recover, right? Her mother reported about her suicidal thoughts, which were also present in starting. Now, on repertorization, I took these symptoms like light desire for company, sleeplessness, religious affections, fear, and suicidal disposition. And the remedies which are highest ranks are calcarea and stramonium. I prescribed calcarea carb 200 at that time in a water dose, followed by rubramate 30. At that time, actually, it was found that the patient was very much afraid of her mother-in-law. And even the husband was not supportive. So she don't want to go there to live in that house. What is it shows? She wants to be there with her mother, with her brother. So what is it shows? Basically, she want protection. Like in calcarea, they need security and stability in life. Calcarea patient has a feeling of being weak to face the cruelty and roughness of the world, which is happening to her. She don't want to face anyone. She don't want to go to her in-laws. So I decided to give calcarea carb 200 water dose. And after a week, on telephonic conversation, the patient seems to be better. And in November 21, she delivered a baby girl, and she was very much fine. There were no suicidal tendencies. There were no ailments in that antenatal period, and the baby and the mother, they are both fine. Next case, this is of adenomycosis. A female patient aged 42 years. She is tall and fair in complexion, came to me in 2020, and she was complaining of profuse and prolonged menses for the last 25 days. The character of bleeding was bright red in color. It is very profuse with large clots, and associated complaints were backache and weakness. She is also complaining of cervical pain at the nape of neck extending to her left arm. Numbness is also present. So aggravating factors for the cervical pain are after exertion, evening, after sleep. Amelioration is from occupied when she is occupied, and rest. She was a diabetic patient since 5 years, and it is controlled under allopathic treatment. She had uterine fibroids, which were operated 5 years back. So it might be the cause of her adenomycosis. In physical generals, the appetite was normal. She can control hunger, and thirst was not. She was not much thirsty. Desire was for salty and ice cream. Her eyes were gleaming when she said, मुझे बहुत पसंद है आइसक्रीम, बट पेन की वजह से मैं नहीं खा पाती हूँ, मुझे अवॉइड करनी पड़ती है because it increased my pain. But she loved ice creams. Then perspiration is not much, stool were unsatisfactory. Sleep is also disturbed because of she was worried about her son who left home for higher studies to some foreign country. And thermal reaction, she's chilly in character. In mental general, she's mild, calm, cheerful personality. She's loving, affectionate, fond of her family very much. She was sad because her son left home for higher studies. After that, her sleep is disturbed. And her dreams were significant. She saw dead people like her father, her relatives, that too very frequently. So this is also very characteristic of this patient. On investigation, CBC was done, and her hemoglobin was found to be 8.7. So she is anemic. And TVS shows adenomyosis with the left hydrocele pinks. And her calcium is 10, serum vitamin D3 is 22 only. And vitamin B12 is 207. So these are also low. At that point, I want to say that, of course, homeopathy will help, but we have to check about the nutrients, nutritional deficiencies also. Because if there is deficiencies, if there is persistence of this deficiencies now, then we were not able to cure the patient. There's some lacking. We have to give the supplements, definitely. Homeopathy can save the patient with everything, but these deficiencies can only be fulfilled by the food or the supplements. So I advise her to take vitamin D and B12 along with the homeopathic treatment. On repertorization, the medicines came up were arsenic, phosphorus, nux vomica, calcarea, sulfur. And I gave phosphorus 200 because her personality matches with phosphorus more. Arsenic has those fears, anxieties and all, but she don't have that fear, anxiety or anything like that. Her symptoms are more towards phosphorus. So I prescribed phosphorus 200 single dose, followed by SL. On the third day, bleeding reduced by 40%. Cervical pain was same. Sleep was better. So in general, the patient is a little better than before. So I gave phosphorus 1 m, 1 dose at the time. And in the next 3 days on the follow-up, bleeding stops the very next day when I gave phosphorus 1 m. Only spotting occurs for 2 days. Cervical pain was much relieved than before, and the patient was quite happy, which is most important. So this is basic, and along with the vitamin D3 supplements and vitamin B12 supplements. Her cervical pain was relieved, her bleeding stops, and yeah, this is a case of 2020, and this is 22. She's doing perfectly well. There is no recurrence occur. It's been 2 years now, so she's fine. Now about the administration of homeopathic medicines in female. Shall we give medicines, antisoric medicines or the anti-miasmatic medicines during menses? The answer is no. Antisorics must not be given shortly before menses are expected or during their flow. So we should avoid giving any anti-miasmatic, any constitutional treatment or during menses or just before menses. Antisorics can be given or anti-miasmatic treatment can be given 4 days or 96 hours after the menses have set in. Morbid state of menses in case the menses previously have been premature or too profuse or too long lasting. It is often necessary to give on this 4th day a small dose of Nux vomica, a small pellet moistened with high dynamization to be smelled, or then on the 4th or 6th day, you can follow with the antisoric remedy. So if there is any disturbance in the menstrual cycle, so you can give this Nux vomica to be smelled, and on the 4th or 6th day, you can follow with your constitutional remedy or the anti-miasmatic remedy. And if the patient, female, is very sensitive and nervous, sure, until she comes near her full restoration, to smell such a pellet once, about 72 hours after the beginning of her menses, notwithstanding her continued antisoric remedy. And the constitutional remedy and the anti-miasmatic remedy should be given not at the bedtime, but in the morning hours. Why? Anybody to answer this question? Why to give the antisoric remedies or the anti-miasmatic remedies in the morning hours, not at night before we are going to bed?
Can we have answers in the chat box, please?
Anyone?
Yes, we have received an answer from Dr. Abhishek Dugal. He says antisoric work
Empty stomach.
in empty stomach. Yes.
Okay.
Then Aisha just told that we can use sulfur. Dr. Shiva Kanti Muliti said there is night aggravation. Dr. Neha Dwivedi says this is due to homeopathic aggravation. It may disturb.
Okay. So yes, of course, night aggravation we have to avoid. There are some medicines which have night aggravation, and sometimes because it can be our fault that we give medicine on a high potency and according to the susceptibility of the patient, it can aggravate, because there can be homeopathic aggravation is there, it can be strong. So it is quite difficult to manage that aggravation in the night hours than in the morning hours or the daytime. So we should avoid giving that the antisoric or anti-miasmatic treatment or remedy in the night hours. And it basically in the night hours, it can delay the beginning of the action of miasmatic remedy. Physiologically, we know that our hormone levels are high in the morning hours, but it is at rest in the night hours. So it is difficult to handle that slight homeopathic aggravation in the night hours, which could we can handle in the morning hours. quite easily. So there are many reasons, and it is mentioned in our chronic diseases written by Dr. Henneman that we should avoid giving anti-miasmatic treatment in the night hours. It should be given early in the morning, empty stomach, and we should not take anything around for 1 hour or after the medicine. So we should avoid taking anything after the medicine, or we always say take this medicine, don't take anything 15 minutes before or half an hour before and half an hour after the medicine. So it should be followed. It will be for the proper action of the remedy. Why nux vomica as an intercurrent? So basically, nux vomica in the disordered menstruation, it should be given first before the anti-miasmatic remedy, because it can order the disharmony arising in the functions of nerves from so disorderly a flow of menses, and it quiets the excessive sensitiveness and irritability which put an insurmountable obstacle in the way of curative action of the antisoric remedies. So that is why we can ask the patient to smell a small pallet of nux vomica before giving any anti-miasmatic remedy. That's all from my side. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's really, really very wonderful, insightful session by Dr. Shweta Singh. We have come across such detailed case taking, and we appreciate your initiative, Dr. Shweta Singh. Thank you for coming on Bhargava Phytolab's platform of iSampark. And
thank you so much.
I would like to, yeah. So, Gunjit, please, can you help me with the slides?
Yes, ma'am. Just.
So yes, talking about Bhargava Phytolab, we are established since 1920. Bhargava Phytolab is the largest production capacity plant in Asia, with producing over 3,000 and more products every year. And we have our own dedicated quality assurance and quality control department with regulatory department inbuilt. We started our journey from producing generics that included our mother tinctures, dilutions, as well as some SRTTs, that is single remedy trituration tablets, biochemics, and biocombinations also. From that, we have advanced ourselves with some formulations of advanced formulations, with bringing many patents along with the product portfolio. I want to express that we have a huge list of products, like we have homeopathic minims, syrups, some ethical tablets, and some drop lines. We are also enhancing our formulations. Apart from that, we have some ointments, oral care products, external oils and gels, some pellets, and food supplements also. Also, we are engaging in kids line also in recent time. Okay, Bhargava has its own quality assurance with a global accreditation, with some certifications by FDA, Philippines, from Canada, TFDA, Tanzania, and Sudan, GMP in India. ISO certification is also there, and from Malaysia, Halal certificate is also there. Apart from that, Qatar and UAE certifications are also with us. So Bhargava has completed its 102 years now, and Bhargava has initiated iSampark webinar. It is a CME initiative by Bhargava to bring in all the like-minded doctors and express their views and their case takings and their case studies up front with the new upcoming doctors, as well as to talk and discuss similar things in the fraternity, so that we can bring about a better healing and better homeopathy with happiness, as Dr. Shweta Singh has just suggested us. Okay, apart from that, I want to talk about some products which are really very helpful in dealing with these hormonal disturbances or women-centric problems, some ailments which can be can be corrected with the help of these products, which is one such as Manifib tablet. Manifib tablet is an absolute solution for hormonal imbalance. It's a beautiful remedy, and it relieves most of the problems of the women, like the pain in lower abdomen during their periods, dysmenorrhea that we say, and it also helps in improving the mood swings and general weakness that of women go through at that time. We just have to give one tablet twice a day, and the problem can be resolved within no time. As you can see, there is a unique packing with a dual action formula in it, and we recommend 1 month therapy pack. We have more slides, Kunjit?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So along with these cases, we can recommend, like most of the doctors recommend their own repertorized medicines, the similimum. But along with that, if we give this patents, we have seen good results, and some clinical trials are also there. We can give it to the doctors so that they can just pursue and see the effects of Manifib. The contents are very much, high grade quality, and some proven results will always aid in prescribing and benefiting the patients.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So just now on the chat, I'm sharing a link for all the participants so they can get the digital certificate after filling this link. So the link has been shared in the chat box. As you open the link, everyone has to just fill their name, email address, and phone number, and the digital certificate will be directly mailed to them. So just a request to all the participants to please fill up the form, and you will be getting the Bhargav Patel iSampark digital webinar certificate.
Great. So wonderful audience. Thank you so much for joining us today at Bhargava Phytolab Initiative iSampark. And we are glad, we would love to have you again and again with our webinar series. Upcoming webinar series will be updated to you very soon. And thank you so much for being very, okay, we are getting some emails. Dr. Dheeraj Samal, please enter your email ID in the form so that you can receive your e-certificate. Thank you so much, everyone. We are glad that you liked our session. We would love to hear from you as well. And we invite all the doctors to bring up their real-time cases, and we can always discuss this on this platform. We can have this thing continued with your support and your initiatives. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Shweta Singh, for joining us today. And we are done, I think.
So everyone, let's
We can end.
and now it's time. So we will end our session, and soon we will be back with some new and interesting topics more in the coming time. And let's see the same zeal and enthusiasm again. Thank you all. Thank you for joining today.